Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So I found about this really sad case, and it's about a I think this YouTuber is about 14 or 12 years old. I'm not sure, around my age. Anyways, so this kid is named Harley. I forgot his his other name, but we're just gonna call him Harley because that's all I remember. He went missing about 2 years ago, so in 2019. And this kid, I'm just completely, I was bawling my eyes out whenever I heard about this case. About today, and I was like completely devastated because why, like the parents were just so dumb in this whole entire case because they were just so mean to him. It was like 34 degrees outside and they made him go to school, and like there was one particular day he didn't want to go to school, and that's the day that he should have stayed home because that day he never returned home, and somebody could have took him, and he was trying to get in the house because they had a chimney and there was a ladder. He tried to get in there and he couldn't go in there because the chimney was too small for him. So whenever he tried to get in, he couldn't, and he died of suffocation. Because if this would have never occurred, if the parents would at least let him stay in the house and didn't let him go outside and actually been good parents. Because there was a video on his YouTube channel. His father got exposed for being really mean to his younger brother or sister. She was like, or he was like around 4 years old, and they spilled, I think, a glass of milk or something, and the father yelled really mad at the poor kid, and Harley cussed, and he said a lot of stuff about the father, which I don't blame him, because like you're not supposed to act like that around your children. You're supposed to be loving and understandable. Harley actually suffered from ADHD, which is a type of disorder that the side effects are outbursts, and like you can't control it. And the poor kid's parents didn't understand, and they gave him severe punishments for his actions, which I personally think that's not okay, and that shouldn't be okay, because what they did to the poor kid was just terrifying, and there's a lot of suspicion going around about the parents being involved, about Harley's missing, and I can totally see why, because the parents were acting super suspicious, because the mom, like, Harley didn't return home like for the last 2 days, and she, like, I think she knew that he was missing because he didn't come home for the second day, and the parents just waited another day, and they didn't even call the police and filed a report the same day he went missing. So that's kind of suspicious. She called the police on him multiple times for having outbursts and just like not being able to control it, but she didn't call the cops whenever he was missing. So that's pretty suspicious there. I do want to say something. If you're suffering from ADHD, it's okay. You don't have to feel bad or ashamed that you're going through this awful illness or awful, I don't know. Talk to a therapist, get help. I'm only trying to help you guys. I really don't want any of my subscribers to be suffering, or not even any of my subscribers. I don't like people going through pain. It just made me really sad about him going missing, because he only got to live 14 years old, and that was it. And I don't know about his younger brother or sister, but I hope they're okay and not living a horrible nightmare like what their brother had to go through, because it's just horrible what people can do to their children. Like, they shouldn't be able to be even having children in the first place if they're gonna treat them like this. You should treat your children with respect and have and understand them, because in the future they might be the same way like you, because they were never taught as a kid that that's wrong. The authorities, after the mother contacted the police officers, they made an investigation and a search party for him. If you don't know what a search party is whenever a bunch of people that are authorities, private investigators, police, they try to find any, like, say for example, Megan is missing. There was a whole search party for her and her friend, Amy, and they went missing because they were talking to a stranger off the internet, and she wanted to have a life with him and have kids, but she was only 14 years old and the guy was over 20. So please be careful who you talk to. It's a dangerous world. People aren't who they say they are on the internet, so be careful. Roblox is a really sneaky place for predators and any human trafficking people to get on the platform, because it's so easy to make an account and say that you're a minor and that you're underage, and then you make friends with kids who are actually minors and they don't lie. So please be careful. If you're going through any of these situations I've been talking about, please block the person. And if you end up telling them your address, I'm sorry, but I have nothing else to say. You shouldn't have done that. Just, tell your parents, and I'm hoping they would be really respectful and they go to the police, because this world is so corrupt. You can't trust anybody these days. It's really devastating, because most of the people on this platform, they're older than me, and they don't even try to spread awareness about these type of things. You see, Harley, he hasn't even posted since last year, and on the news, there's a bunch of, they were talking about him missing, because what his parents did to him is not right, and I'm completely devastated. How would people have that much madness in their heart to let their own child go through that? It's so messed up. I don't know. But I will be posting this on my main account. Yeah. I'm very heartbroken about the situation. It really made me upset. Yeah, if you want proof about, this case actually being real, I'll show it to you right now. So, this is, this used to be his account, and if you go to over here, it says about him, and he hasn't posted any community tabs because he already died, and he only got to live 14. And he has another channel. And it's called Harley Dilly 2.0. And that's his last video, which was a year ago. And the same for the other channel, no community tabs, and there's a bunch of people that he subscribed to. This is my main account temporarily named, because my other channel is getting deleted in 2 years. What? How would he know that if... Never mind. And if you go to his comments... so sad because he didn't even get to experience adulthood. And I'll show you the I'll show you where I got this information from. I barely heard about this this morning. Yeah.
Channel, like many others we've discussed before, doesn't look like much at a glance. It's an account run by a young boy named Harley Dilly, which served as an outlet for him to post videos about his life, his favorite video games, and even the occasional live stream. And quite honestly, the majority of this YouTube channel seems completely normal. But when looking at this content closer, it becomes more and more apparent that there was darkness lurking behind the scenes. Darkness that would become even more apparent as in December of 2019, Harley Dilly would vanish.
But first, a heartbroken mother waiting for her missing son to walk back into her arms.
Tonight marks 7 days since the disappearance of 14-year-old Harley Dilly.
Like many kids his age, Harley was interested in video games, such as Roblox and Madden, and he had been posting videos of himself playing these games since the young age of 10 years old. Over time, Harley would begin to show his audience more and more about his life, with topics ranging from his hobbies to his recent performances at school. And even through this, there was nothing that really seemed to hint at anything dark happening in Harley's life. But over time, a clear trend starts to emerge within these videos, and that is the fact that Harley and his mother would frequently get in arguments.
So yesterday, well actually today, my mom and I got into an argument because I didn't want to walk to school. Because I live like 4 blocks and it's like 34 degrees.
This is something mentioned multiple times throughout these early videos, and it's nothing all that surprising. I mean, after all, most kids will argue with their parents, and it's likely that Harley was using his channel as an outlet to express his frustrations. But any idea of this being your typical family bickering would soon be thrown out the window in October of 2018, when Harley would hold a now-deleted live stream titled, "I'm Scared."
What's up? It is Harley Dilly. Probably one of my worst days of my life. My mom wanted me to go with her to go get a friend. And I said, I don't want to. I have work to do, so I want to go home. We argued for about a good 5 minutes. Then she snapped. She said she was going to call police, and she said she already did. And she locked me out of the house. So right now, I'm outside. Yep, the house is locked. I haven't ate anything, and I still haven't even got to get my work done. My mom's gone. She won't answer the phone. I legit was scared.
In the video, we see Harley outside in the cold as he explains that his mother had threatened to call the police on him over an argument that the two had had. On top of this, his mother also locked him outside of the house without any food or water on a frigid October night. Now clearly these aren't really healthy things for his mother to be doing, especially given the fact that at this time, Harley was merely 12 years old. And this extreme punishment came from a situation that didn't seem all that bad. The whole situation is a major red flag that's made all the more concerning after Harley says the following line.
I just want you guys to wish me good luck because the future could hold bad things for me. I don't want to find out what that could mean.
The relationship between Harley and his mother clearly comes across as toxic within this video, and this was far from a one-time thing. In fact, in details that would later emerge, it would be revealed that Harley's mother had actually called the police on him on 5 separate occasions, one of which coming when he was only 10 years old. Now you might take this information and just assume that Harley was a poorly behaved kid. However, in actuality, Harley had ADHD as well as high-functioning autism, 2 disorders that can cause hyperfixation, outbursts, and many of the behaviors that had led to all of these family arguments. And in these situations, Harley is practically powerless to stop his own outbursts or destructive tendencies. And it's really up to his mother to understand this and find a way to help him with these habits. But rather, it's made clear that she would punish him instead. And it's important to add that with these outbursts, I haven't seen anything stating that they were violent or anything physical. Rather, it just seems that they were merely occasional behavioral issues. And this friction-filled relationship extends past just Harley and his mother. On one particular video, we can hear Harley's father, Marcus, yelling and screaming in the background at Harley's mother and 4-year-old sibling because the young child had spilled their drink.
God damn it!
My dad's being an asshole right now, but
Now, time would go on, and these slight moments of concerning behaviors would show up here and there, but for the most part went unseen from his channel. Harley would eventually switch to a brand new page in 2019 called Harley Dilly 2.0, where he continued posting similar content until eventually, on December 10th, 2019, when he would post a typical looking Madden Mobile gameplay video. A video that would turn out to be one of the darkest on the channel, not because it showcased any family fighting or anything along those lines, but because it would prove to be the last video that Harley would ever make. 1 week later, on December 19th, 2019, Harley would complain of an upset stomach and ask his mother if he could stay home from school. She would not allow him to, however, telling him to, quote, "get your ass to school." And so he left the house, walking towards the school as he always did. Only this time, he wouldn't make it there. Day would turn to night, and not only had Harley not shown up to school, but he wasn't at his home either. And to make matters worse, it was yet another freezing cold night. Still, Harley's parents did not seem overly worried, as they would end up waiting until the next morning to report their son as missing. Harley's mother, Heather, would take to Facebook in a now-deleted post begging people to help find her son, but days would quickly pile up into weeks with no sign of the 14-year-old boy. As search efforts ramped up and the story became national news, people began to stumble across Harley's channel, discovering videos like the "I'm Scared" livestream, calling many to question the parents' potential involvement in his disappearance, as it seemed throughout these videos that Harley had been potentially neglected or even abused. This theory was especially prevalent given the fact that they had waited a whole day to report Harley as missing, as well as the cold message that Heather had left Harley with that morning. However, most others believed that Harley had just ran away under the guise of going to school. Either way, authorities had no clue where Harley could have gone, as he just vanished without leaving a trail behind. However, on January 13th, 2020, this would all change. That day, police had searched an empty home across the street, which at the time no one was living in, as it served more as a summer home for the owners. When searching the house, police would find clothing that belonged to Harley, including his jacket, sweatpants, a single sock, and slip-on shoes. His glasses were also found lying there as well. It was clear that Harley had been in that home, but the rooms were all empty, and there was no sign of him at all, other than his clothing. It wasn't until investigators decided to look up the chimney that they would find what they were looking for. Lodged within the narrow, claustrophobic opening was Harley's decomposing body, trapped within its 4 walls. Coroners would later conclude that he had died of compressive asphyxiation, which happens when respiration is prevented by external pressure of the body. According to official reports, it was believed that Harley had attempted to get inside the locked house, knowing it was vacant, by going through the chimney. Right next to the house stood a telephone pole with prongs like a ladder that he would have likely taken to get up there. Once on the roof, Harley then supposedly attempted to slide down the chimney, an opening that was just 9 by 13 inches. But once halfway down, Harley would become stuck, having just enough room to shed his clothing in an attempt to have just a little bit more space. Unable to climb out of the chimney, and now in a minimal amount of clothing, Harley would have been stuck there in the cold, with virtually no hope of survival, as no one was home to hear his screaming. It would be within that chimney that Harley would slowly suffocate to death. It's a heartbreaking way to go, but even though this is the official conclusion, there are still many who point blame at the parents, with many even thinking that they were somehow involved. This is not only because of the circumstances seen throughout the channel, but also because of the behavior of Harley's father. While police were frantically searching for Harley, his father had allegedly bragged about the amount of coverage that this case was getting. He had also told his colleagues that he was taking out a life insurance policy on Harley just a week after he had disappeared and 2 weeks before his body was found. And when describing the relationship that Marcus had with Harley, his own son, he described it as strained, saying, "We know each other, and there's a relationship there. He knows I'm his dad and he's my son, but the relationship is rocky." Now honestly, I have never heard a father talk like this about their own son, especially when that son was missing. And so I can understand why people have red flags about the parents, especially with the dark clues left behind on his channel. Plus a slew of other minor inconsistencies throughout the entirety of the case that truthfully would require a full documentary to go over every detail. But ultimately, there is no actual concrete physical evidence that proves that this was anything other than an accident. An accident spurred on as a combination of Harley's autism and his frayed relationship with his parents, a relationship that led to his eventual running away and ultimately his death. And seeing it play out through his channel is an eerie thing, as it subtly hints at the fate that would soon befall him. But in Harley's case, these clues were hidden, buried within a channel that was otherwise nothing out of the ordinary. But this isn't always the case. Sometimes you stumble across a dark channel with nothing to hide, and oftentimes...
Okay, guys, so he's gonna move on into a different topic I don't want to talk about because it's more on the drug abuse side. So yeah, and if you're sensitive to that topic like this video, please keep in mind that I'm only trying to spread awareness, and I'm wanting to make sure that everybody knows about this case, because it could happen, and very much well it could happen to any of the kids that you know or any of your kids. So look after your kids. Don't be like those parents, don't be like Harley's parents, because something bad could happen. And I'm so thankful for my parents being around and helping me with life. Anyways, I'm gonna cut this video to end right now because this video has been already 22 minutes long, or 23 minutes long. So anyways, if you like this video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you never miss a single video. That's all for today's video. Bye, my awesome, loyal lovies.